What's up guys, Jeff here with another little episode of Project Zailas for you. I'm out here with the Z. I was doing some headlight maintenance. The lenses were really scratched up and really bad, and I had to end up replacing them altogether. So in order to do that, I ended up buying some eBay, some depot headlights, taking the lenses off of those and doing a little surgery on mine, so replacing the lenses. In order to do that, you have to actually pry the lenses off. They're sealed with butyl glue a lot of times, which is a very common glue that manufacturers use to seal the lenses to the headlight assemblies themselves. Technically, you're not supposed to take that off. Once it's glued down from the manufacturer, it's not ever supposed to come off there. It's got a real tight weather seal on it. That butyl glue is really nasty stuff. It's really sticky, so they don't ever intend on you taking that off, but sometimes your lens is so bad that you just, you have to take that thing off. The other reason why you might want to take it off is if you want to do like paint work on the inside of your headlight assembly. Some guys like to black it out or paint them the body color or like a matte gunmetal or whatever. I'm not a huge fan of blacking out or doing anything like that. I love the silver, the chrome look inside, so I didn't do any of that. I wasn't planning on doing any of that anyways, but as I got my headlights off to change the lenses out, I kind of took my headlights apart. I have to note that these are the 06 Plus headlights. These are the HIDs. These are not the Zenki 350Z headlights. These are the 06 Plus. But I took them apart. They look like this. The plastic housing that the central lamp is right in front of it, the HID bulb is in. I was getting my lenses changed out and everything, and I was thinking, well, is there anything else I want to do? Do I want to change them out while I have them open? Do I want to paint anything, or do I want to do anything? So I was looking really close, and I decided I didn't want to really paint anything. I didn't want to take any chance of screwing it up or anything like that. So I was looking at it and seeing if there was anything I could do. And I was taking a close look at this piece. I was looking at the back of it, and I noticed that this entire piece is made out of a translucent plastic. I noticed that when they designed this, they made it so that the silver paint that they used for these almost vent type of looking lines on the side, it's off of the plastic so that those lines show through when the light is on, which gives off this really cool effect, the light shining through those lines on the side. I thought, man, that's a really cool effect. I wonder why they covered up so much of this in that clear plastic or in that silver paint, when they could have, made more details or whatever in it and let the light shine through the details. And so I got the idea. You can see here the detailing on it, how it looks like almost like Iron Man's chest thing. And I thought, man, how cool would that be if I just took the paint off of these pieces right here, these high spots right here, so that the light would shine up through those pieces right there. And so I immediately started brainstorming how I could get the paint off of there without damaging it too much. And the first one, I kind of tried a couple of different things. I tried just sanding it directly, and eventually I came to the idea to just use some acetone just to kind of melt through the paint on the very top layer. So I went ahead and did that, and it gets through the top layer of paint, but if you're not careful, it will eat into the plastic, so you have to be very, very careful with it, as I will demonstrate. But yeah, if you take the paint off of those little high spots right there, it really adds a lot to your headlight, and it's a free modification, really. You don't have to send your headlights into some lighting company or anything like that. It's just something super simple. Instead of actually painting into your headlight assembly, you're actually just removing paint and letting a little more of your light shine through. So I'm going to go ahead and turn one of my headlights on that I've already finished, so you can see what this looks like and see if you might want to do this for yourselves. It's a pretty darn cool effect, if I do say so myself. Alright, so as you can see, it's definitely got a very, very cool effect now. These top two pieces right here are where I took the paint off. These are just the high spots, and that light is just able to shine through there at this point. The stock lights, this is all covered in paint, so you don't even see the details on that at all. There's two up here and there's two on the bottom for a total of 4, and it just gives off a really, really cool effect. I'm really surprised, like I said, that they didn't do this from the factory, because there's just a really nice detail on this assembly, but you can't see any of it at night when it's dark, because it's all dark, obviously. Here's the lines that I was talking about that the light shines through, and so I really, really like how this just kind of accents the top part as well. It just really kind of opens it up, and just makes your headlight better. And like I said, it's a free modification. You just take some time to get the lens off and get the paint off, and then put it all back together, and you've got basically custom headlights. So let me show you guys how I'm going about doing this. Alright guys, so I'm outside now. Sorry if it's a little dark out here. So I went ahead and got the trim piece out that we're going to be modifying. Now in order to get this out, it's a little bit of a process. Like I said, you have to take the lens off. You got to get through the butyl glue and take that off. A couple of different ways of doing that. I'm not going to be showing how to do that in this video. There's a ton of videos on YouTube on how to take the lenses off. A lot of people stick their headlights in the oven to heat it up so that the glue becomes pliable and pry it off. Other people, they just take the time to pry it out with a screwdriver or whatever. There's quite a few different ways of doing it. You figure out what works best for you. Personally, I don't really like the idea of putting my headlights in the oven. I know it's been done 100,000 times and it's supposedly safe and all that, but you know, a lot can go wrong, and stuff can melt, and you never know. So what I did is I used a heat gun to really heat it up around the seal and just took my time with it. It takes, the way I did it, it probably took about 20 minutes per headlight to pry it all apart and take it off and all that. But anyways, search YouTube for how to remove headlight lenses and you'll find a video, and you'll find whatever way you want to do it. But anyways, once you get your lens off, you'll be able to access the screws and stuff to disassemble the interior of the headlight assembly. You'll eventually get this piece off. It's just held on by 2 screws and then this little plastic clip right here. It will come right out. Again, this is the 2006 Plus 350Z headlight with the HIDs. Unfortunately, this will not apply to the Zenki headlights. I mean, it might. You know, I don't have those headlights, so I don't know. You may be able to do a similar modification to that. I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly what those headlights look like, but I suppose you could apply this same kind of thing to those headlights, or any headlight really for that matter, if it has this similar type of thing going on. But anyways, here's the piece that we're going to be modifying. Like I said, here's these spots that we're going to be getting rid of the paint on right there. And you can see on this side, I already went ahead and took the paint off of those. And it's a 2-step process, at least the way I'm doing it. There may be a better way, and if there is, do it that way, you know. But this is how I'm doing it, and I'm getting a pretty good result. So something that I'm happy with anyways. You're going to need acetone, okay, and you are going to need sandpaper. So I'm using a 100 grit in a foam block, something that's really soft and is going to conform. You don't want anything too hard. 100 grit definitely sounds like it's going to be too hard, but it works out good, especially in a foam block. And I should add that this is also a fairly well used foam block that I've had for quite a while, so the grit may not quite be 100. You know, it may be something more like a 200 or 250 at this point, but I am using a 100 grit foam block, and then I'm also using a 800 grit finishing sandpaper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of paper towel and I'm going to fold it over a couple of times, and first of all clean it off, make sure there's no dust or anything like that, and I'm just going to get a little bit of the acetone. Not a lot, just a little bit, so that you can just barely feel it damp on your towel. You don't want this thing sopping wet, because if it starts dripping all over the piece, it's going to start chewing through everything. So you have to be very precise. You know, if you take anything from this video, take away that please be careful when you're using acetone with anything that's plastic. It will eat through your plastic. So, and believe it or not, it will get into the plastic a little bit on this, but that's okay, because you actually go in with step 2 and sand it out. As long as you don't let it sit on there and eat into the plastic too much, you'll be fine. But now that we have our acetone on our rag here, we're just going to slowly start to wipe in a circular motion. I'm being very precise. I'm using the tip of the towel here to very precisely put the acetone where I want it to go. Again, it's not dripping anywhere, it's not sopping wet, it's very precise, and I'm just rubbing the acetone. Even though I can't see it, I'm just rubbing it, and trust me, it is working. It's chewing through the paint. Very lightly, don't push into it and scrub or anything like that, just very lightly, just keep on rubbing it like that, and eventually it will start to work through the paint. You just want to get through that layer of paint on there. And when you start seeing plastic underneath, you start lightening up and focusing on the areas that still have paint on them. Don't focus too heavily on the areas that are exposed after the paint. is gone. So I'm just going ahead and working it. It takes about a minute or two to get through the multiple layers of paint that they have on here. And I'm not going all the way up to the edge with it. I'm actually leaving about 1/8 of an inch of edge left to conform with this ring that's around it. You don't have to do that. You can go all the way up to the edge if you feel like you're precise enough to do that. But I like to leave just 1/8 of an inch there because I think it looks uniform with the rest of the ring. Alright, so we have our first little bite through the paint. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there and show. It's a little bite right through the paint right there, so you can see that it's now starting to work. Now work around that area that's opening up. Don't focus on that area. Once you see the paint open up right there, then kind of start working around it. Work on the edges. The edges can be tough to get all the paint off of the edges. And just continue to work around it, and eventually the paint will start to uniformly come off. Like I said, the acetone will start to dull up the plastic underneath. That's normal. Don't worry about it. Just don't get in too much. Don't focus on one area too heavily. Keep moving, and eventually you can see I'm working away a little bit more of it. Just keep on going. And now the center has opened up pretty good. I'm just focusing on the edges at this point. I'm not trying to go on the sides. I don't want to hit the sides of this raised area or this front piece right there. We want to leave those alone because we don't want light coming through those areas. We just want the light coming through the top square section so that it looks nice and uniform when the light is on. Alright, so now that we have applied the acetone to the paint and the paint is soft on the top, I'm going to go ahead and just take my fingernail and I'm just going to start scraping away the paint on the edges. This is where the paint really wants to stick on the edges because it adheres there really strong, where it naturally kind of drips down and pools down in those areas. And so I'm just scraping the edges, again not going down past the edges, but just on the top. You can see working it away there just a little bit at a time. Don't rush this at all. Going back in with a little more acetone just to continue softening up the paint. And if you're not sure, if you've never used acetone on plastic or paint before, you know, there's a lot of little spaces on the back of this and stuff that you'll never see if you want to just test a little inconspicuous area just to get used to the speed with which the acetone eats through the paint. You know, that's definitely something you can do, is just give it a little test and you know, get the feel for it even a couple of times if you need to before you go in and do this. Worst case scenario, something happens and you start getting through it and a whole bunch of it starts coming off, then you know, you can always just repaint the whole assembly. You know, get yourself some paint and sand it down and repaint the whole thing. It should be good to go as long as you mask, you know, these areas that are from the factory that are opened up. You'll be fine. But if you take your time with it and you're careful, that shouldn't happen. I'm going to go ahead and re-wet just a little bit more acetone here. Not a lot, just a little bit. Make sure your fingers aren't dripping with it or anything. You just want to be able to feel the moistness on the top. Also be careful too if you got any on your hands when you pick it up. Make sure you don't have acetone on your fingers eating through the plastic as you're holding it. Yeah, I was thinking about doing some heavier modification to my headlights, and yeah, I just like the headlights the way they are. I really do. I think the kouki 350Z headlights are so sexy. They look so good, even just stock. You don't really have to do much. I'm going to be adding eyelids to my headlights. I'm making my own eyelids instead of going out and buying. Alright, that should be plenty of acetone there. I'm just using my fingernail to just shape that line up to the top to 1/8 of an inch. Just to put that line in there. Yeah, so I wanted to do some kind of modification to my headlight, but I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money doing headlight stuff, especially considering that I liked the stock ones so much. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money and send them out to some headlight specialist or anything. So when I found this little modification, I was quite thrilled. It was basically a free mod. Alright, so I'm going to show you. You can see the state of the plastic at this point. You can see how the acetone has really kind of started to eat into that plastic right there, but it's on the very, very top level. You don't need to worry about that because we're going to be sanding that top level off. This is essentially the same process that you would use to clean, to resurface your headlight lenses if they're really bad. You just can do a little bit of sanding and then polishing to polish it up, and it's going to be perfectly fine. But you can see how I left 1/8 of an inch of the paint right there just before it hits that ring right there. This is just the way I'm doing it. You can go all the way up if you want, or leave it lower. It's totally up to you. Like I said, I just think that's really nice how it kind of follows that uniform ring around there. Okay, so we finished step 1. We've got all the paint off the top that we need. We still have our edges. We still have this front piece right here. So I'm now going to go ahead and go in with my 100 grit sanding foam block, and I'm just going to go ahead and sand off the top there. Again, staying below that 1/8 inch paint strip that I left. And the foam block is really nice because, like I said, it conforms to the shape of whatever you're sanding, so it's not too hard. It's not these plastic pieces, they're actually curved. They have a little bevel to them. They're not perfectly straight, so I don't want to go in with something that's too straight and going to eliminate the curve in there. So that's why I'm using this foam block, because it's sanding in a curve, which is really nice. I'm going to go in with just a little bit of 100 grit paper in the corners. That's all this detailing work. It's all in the details, you know. And be careful when you're sanding that you're not accidentally sanding like the edge or the side or anything like that. Be very, very careful. Be very precise. Sand only what you want to sand. And I'm sanding in an arcing motion. I'm not going straight flat to it, because I do want to maintain that little arc, that natural arc to it. Alright, so that's what we look like so far. So continuing to sand, I'm going to go back in with another 100 grit. This one just has a little bit more of a stronger grit, but it is a... And my sprinklers come on. Alright, so my sprinklers finally stopped. Freaking sprinklers, man. Tell you what. Anyways, I went ahead and finished this up. After I did the acetone, I went ahead and did some sanding. I started with my, what did I start with? Yeah, I started with my sanding blocks, my foam blocks. Then I went in and did a little more detail with the 100 grit paper, and then a little bit more with the foam block, and then I went in with my 800 just to finish it up. That completely eliminated any of the plastic burn that the acetone had put in. It completely sanded that off entirely, and so you get this finish right here. Alright, so that's going to be really nice. You can clearly see your finger through the bottom of it. If you put your finger through the bottom, you can see your finger. It's not like crystal clear. It's more of like a glaze, kind of like a matte glaze. And when you put the polish on, it'll polish up just a little bit more. But any polish will do, or a scratch remover or anything like that. So anything that's going to go in there and take out some of those sanding marks. But that matte glaze looks really nice too. If it was too shiny, it would almost look a little strange. So I actually prefer the matte glaze look a little bit more. So I went ahead and finished all 4 of them. You can see this is what it looks like at this point. 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Everything pretty uniform. Everything's really good. Light's going to shine through that really nice. You can't see any acetone burns or anything. Everything's nicely sanded and polished at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and button up my headlight, put everything back together, throw it on the car, and see what we get. Alright guys, so here's a look at the headlights assembled and back on the car. So you can see right here is where we made our modification, just right on the top. It's very subtle, but it's very cool. It just adds a little bit of an extra effect to your headlights, whereas usually that's all black, or all painted I should say. You now see the light coming through on the top. Also, the 2 on the bottom reflect very nicely on the chrome paint on the bottom, so you see those ones as well. So very cool little modification that you can do, super cheap. Really only cost me about $6 for the acetone that I used, and I don't think I really paid for anything else to do this. It's just a matter of taking them off the car, opening them up, and taking the paint off of those areas right there, and that's about it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions or anything like that, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys and see what you guys think, not only about this video, but about some of my other videos as well. If you guys are interested in what I'm doing, please let me know. Also, if there's anything in specific you guys want to see, any particular kinds of videos that you guys want me to produce for you, please let me know, and I will be happy to look into that. And thank you again so much for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one.